In the last video, I talked about a few ways that we could apply the ideas and tools from James Clear's Atomic Habits to create better habits, and more specifically, better money habits. But in this video, I want to talk about how we can apply the same ideas and tools to break bad habits, and more specifically, bad money habits. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jonathan, and this video is the part 2 to using Atomic Habits to help reach our financial goals. So like I said in part 1, I talked about using Atomic Habits to create good money habits. So if you haven't watched that one yet, I would highly recommend you watch that video first, as I give an overview of the key ideas from the book. So in this video, I'm going to start by going over the 4 key insights in the book and how they can apply to helping us break bad money habits. And then, like in part 1, I'm going to be going through a few examples of bad money habits in Notion and going over how we can use James's 4 laws of behavior change to break them. So the first key idea in the book is the 1% rule. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Habits are a double-edged sword. The idea of the 1% rule is that if you get 1% better each day, you will end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for a year, you'll decline nearly down to 0. The reason it's so easy to fall into a bad habit is because it's usually something very small. So it's very easy to let yourself off because you don't see the negative results of your habit immediately. But just being aware of this can help you see that each decision you make can add up exponentially to give you massive positive or negative results. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. The next idea James talks about is how we should forget about goals and instead focus on our systems. I spoke about all the problems James has with goals in part 1, but the key problem is that everybody who fails had a goal. Everybody who wants to quit smoking has the same goal. So obviously not everybody who has a goal succeeds. So just having the goal isn't enough. So instead we must focus on the journey or path to the goal by creating an effective system. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. The next idea is not focusing on the outcomes of your habits, but rather the person that you are. So let's use procrastination as an example of a bad habit. And let's say your goal is to start an online side hustle. There are 2 ways to approach this. One way is to say, I want to start a side hustle, so I won't procrastinate, and this will make me a productive person. And the other way to approach this, which James would argue is the better way, is to say, I am a productive person, so I don't procrastinate. Therefore, I will start an online side hustle. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. Next are the 4 laws of behavior change and the 4 stages of habit formation. So first is the cue, and the first law is to make it obvious. So the inverse law to break a bad habit is to make it invisible. Next, the craving, and the second law of make it attractive. So the inverse law is to make it unattractive. Then the response, and the third law of make it easy. Therefore, the inverse law is to make it difficult. And finally, the reward, and the 4th law to make it satisfying. And as you've probably guessed, the inverse law, make it unsatisfying. So next, I'm going to go through 3 bad money habits and how we can break them. So first is the cue, and the inversion of the first law, make it invisible. And the first bad money habit example we've got is buying expensive new tech. Now, this isn't always necessarily a bad habit, but let's say in this case, you always end up buying new tech that you don't need, you can't afford when you're trying to save money. So how can we make this habit invisible? We can reduce exposure, remove the cues of your bad habits from your environment. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you can't see the cue that triggers the habit, then you're not going to start it in the first place. So let's say the cue for this habit is when you read new tech reviews online or in magazines. So we just need to take away the cue by not reading these reviews. Unsubscribe from any newsletters or magazines or YouTube channels where you usually get this content. The next example is smoking. Of course, everyone knows how expensive smoking can be. And if you don't live somewhere with free medical care like here in the UK, then it's also going to cost you a lot further down the line in medical bills. So how can we make the cue for this invisible? Everyone who smokes will probably have a different cue. So depending on your particular cue, you will have to change how you make it invisible. But let's say, for example, here, the cue is just seeing the pack of cigarettes on the side or anywhere. So this is an easy one. Just hide them, put them out of sight, and therefore you have removed the cue. The next bad money habit example is procrastination. Procrastination can be a bad money habit because often the less you work or the less productive you are, the less money you're going to make, especially for people who are self-employed or work for themselves. I personally struggle with this one a lot, so this example is a real example of what I've done to combat this. So for me, the cue for my procrastination is notifications on my phone and pretty much any noise. So I now leave my phone in another room, and if I need to keep it in the room with me, I will put it on silent, face down on the desk as far away as it can be. And as for the noise, I actually bought a quite cheap budget pair of noise cancelling headphones, which have already paid for themselves. And it's only since using them, it made me realize how much noise distracts me. I've been so much more productive since I've been using them. So next is the craving and the inversion of the second law, make it unattractive. And the tool in the book for this one is to reframe your mindset, highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. So this is a pretty simple tool, but probably one of the most difficult, because it's about finding and fixing the causes of your bad habits by reframing the associations you have about them. So you need to start associating your bad habits with negative feelings instead of positive ones. So instead of new tech makes me happy, it's new tech wastes my money. Instead of smoking relieves my stress, it's smoking does not relieve my nerves, it destroys them. Instead of procrastination is easy and comforting, it's procrastination is holding me back from my true potential. So onto the examples. For buying new tech, we will confirm to ourselves that we do not need new expensive tech to achieve higher social status. For smoking, we will write out one benefit of not smoking in our journal every day. For example, we'll save money so I can go on holiday. And for procrastination, I remind myself of why I'm working and how procrastinating will hinder my goals. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings and unattractive when we associate them with negative feelings. Highlight the benefit of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. Next, the response and the inversion of the third law, which is to make it difficult. And the tools associated with this law are increase friction, increase the number of steps between you and your bad habits. This is a pretty intuitive idea. The more easy a habit is to do, the more likely you are to do it. And the harder a habit is to do, the less likely you are to do it. And use a commitment device. Restrict your future choices to the ones that benefit you. A commitment device is a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future. For example, setting an automatic transfer into your savings account each month. So for buying new tech, we will delete our Amazon Prime membership. Having a Prime membership makes buying things extremely easy. Often you can buy something and it'll literally get delivered the same day. So just deleting that membership will just increase that friction of purchasing something on Amazon. And often when you're paying for Prime, you feel like to get your money out of it, you need to use it. So not having it will just reduce the chances that you're going to do that. For smoking, this will be very different for each person, but this example, we will ask a friend to hide our cigarettes from us for an increasing amount of time. So maybe 30 minutes to start with, and then for each day you could add 15 minutes until eventually you go the whole day without them. And for procrastination, I leave my phone in another room. I've deleted many games and social medias from my phone. And I also now use the new work mode on iPhone where when turned on, you can pick what apps can deliver notifications. And lastly is the reward and the inversion of the fourth law, which is to make it unsatisfying. We are less likely to repeat a bad habit if it is painful or unsatisfying. The tools associated with this law are get an accountability partner. Ask someone to watch your behavior. An accountability partner can create an immediate cost to inaction. We care deeply about what others think about us, and we do not want others to have a lesser opinion of us. And create a habit contract. Make the costs of your habit public and painful. A habit contract can be used to add a social cost to any behavior. Knowing that someone else is watching you can be an extremely good motivator. So for buying new tech, each time you buy something, you have to send a message in your accountability partner chat with what you bought and how much it cost. For smoking, let's say each time you smoke, you take one of your partner's chores off them for 1 month. And for procrastination, if I don't complete a task in a specific time, my accountability partner gets to pick a punishment for me. I've now demonstrated how we can use the tools and ideas in Atomic Habits to create good money habits and break bad money habits. But remember, all of these tools can be applied to any habit, financial or not. Atomic Habits is an amazing book and it's had a huge impact on my life. So if you still haven't read this book, then do yourself a favor and check out the link for it that I've put down in the description. Also, let me know if you've got any bad money habits that you're wanting to change or break. I hope after watching parts 1 and part 2 of this video, you can see that creating great change doesn't always require great sacrifice. Small habits don't add up, they compound. That's the power of atomic habits. Tiny changes, remarkable results. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.